Peter. All right, guys. Hey, thank you for those of you that are here. I know there'll be a couple of people joining us in a few minutes. There's been some people that have let me know either work or class. I am recording so that I'll post it like normal. One thing I just want to go over, we found out Friday, I believe it was, that the administration has decided to opt out of late spring sports. Now, make sure you listen to what I'm going to say right now. Okay. Now, the difference between what they did now and what they did in the fall. Okay. They opted out with the possibility of opting back in for some of the lower impact sports. Okay. So there's still a very real possibility that we could opt back in. Now, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but there's a good chance. Okay. So in a few minutes, I'm going to let Rocco address from the administrative side what that actually means. My message to you guys is that we need to progress and continue as if we're going to have competition, because there's a couple of different things that can happen. Okay. One, they could opt back in for track, meaning we have a season. Two, there is also some other competitions that can take place. They're calling them scrimmages, okay, for lack of a better term, okay, but those are also would have the possibility of taking place while not having a season where we would still compete. And I'll kind of let Rocco go into what that means. So we wanted to kind of get these meetings with our teams, because it's probably going to hit the news if it hasn't already, and you are probably going to hear some things, but we wanted to address you guys directly from us. I've always told you guys, when I know, you will know, right? And I'll keep that, I'm keeping with that. So found out Friday, and I asked Rocco if he could come on with us today. So I'm going to let Rocco talk to you guys for just a few minutes and address from the administrative side, and then we'll open it up to you guys if you have any questions, okay? So make sure you pay attention, please. All right, Rocco, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Coach, and thank you to everybody for taking some time here to listen to me. And Coach had it very accurate. It's exactly what it is. I feel bad having to break that news to you and all the other teams that we did we're going to be announcing that we're opting out of Spring 2 competition. I think the announcement's going to come out tomorrow to the public. And I just want to meet with all the teams to answer your questions, but to also explain from an administrative side why that decision had to be made at this point. The 3C2A, who oversees all of our athletic competition statewide, put a deadline. Schools had to declare opt-in or opt-out by this Friday, February 26th. So when I met with the president and vice president last week, they did not feel that we could move forward while we were still in the purple tier as a county. So there's no chance that we're going to be out of the purple tier by Friday. So they said we can't commit to opting in because we're still in that purple tier. The state does, like Coach said, leave the opportunity to opt back in. All right, you can opt out and then things get better somehow down the line, and you say, wait a second, let's switch, and we're able to compete now. And Coach was right. When we opted out from the early fall sports, the football, soccer, those kind of sports, cross country, they said it's an opt out, and that's that. This time, they pretty much said, the cases are going in the right direction countywide, which is great. They're actually declining very fast, and the metrics are improving fast. That kind of what we are regulated by, but they're not where they need to be just yet. So essentially, we're opting out, but we're kind of pushing that final decision a few more weeks down the line. So that's if that makes sense to you. It's going to be announced as an opt out, but in my comments, public comments, as long as they get approved by our communications department, I made sure to include, we have possibilities for some kind of competition later on. And like Coach said, there are a few different options that we go from here. Um, One, we can opt back in at a later date. Spring competition doesn't start until April 23rd, I believe. Um, the reason they put the deadline at February 26th was because there's a couple months of planning that schools are going to need to do. So a lot can change between now and April 23rd. So between that time, there is the possibility that we could opt back in and either play a full schedule or a partial schedule, or send you guys to a few track meets. There's a chance that we could do something and in an official capacity. If we do not opt back in, like Coach said, there's the opportunity to do scrimmages against schools that have opted out. So basically, if you opt back in, you could do some stuff with other schools who have opted in. If you stay opted out, you can do 2 scrimmage dates with other schools who have opted out. That's a possibility. And then the third possibility on the line is we create some kind of event among ourselves where we try to do something with each team. I'm not sure how that would translate to track and field, but just like using another sport, if we had the soccer team, we could, give them each 2 different sets of uniforms, even hire officials, and have them play, a full game against each other. So there are a few different options that we can go. And that's the big difference between the fall and this decision. It's more, I feel better because administration left that on the table and our cases are improving. So the 3 main factors that led this decision, one, the being in the purple tier really made the decision for us. But also, and I'm not sure if you're all aware, but we've kind of been struggling with positive COVID cases among our athletic teams over the past 3 weeks or so. We have 2 teams that are on full quarantine now. We have a staff member that has to quarantine starting today because of close exposure. We have another team that's probably going to get shut down today. We're really seeing a lot of positive cases within our department. So the administration was not comfortable moving forward with us still having so many positive cases on a daily basis. The other factor that played into it was, to a lesser extent, those 2 factors were the main ones. To a lesser extent, the president said he's not very comfortable moving forward athletically if we can't move forward academically. So there are a lot of other academic classes that have been asking to come on campus and have meetings, even just once a week or things like that. And the president and board have been saying no to them. So he felt it wouldn't really look right. We always talk about we're a college, we're students first, we stress academics. So if he didn't think it would look very good if we were moving forward athletically while also staying still academically. So from what I understand, that's not necessary, all right? We don't have to say, okay, we're not playing sports until students can come back on campus. They haven't said that yet. But that did play into the role or the decision that was made. Another thing that's important, I think, for me to communicate is I wanted to opt in. I want you and all our other teams to be able to compete. I can't imagine it's been a difficult thing for me to deal with, for the coaches. I can't imagine how disappointing it is for you guys. It really makes me feel terrible. And the president feels that way too. I'll say the president is somebody who wants to move forward in a safe manner. He has ideas, he has things in place, he has regulations and things ready to go. If people don't feel safe, they can opt out individually instead of, as a team or as whatever. But he's supportive and he wants to find a way to move forward. What he's working against is our board of trustees at the college is on the other extreme. All right, they want to stay remote all semester. They want, if it was up to them, they would not allow a single person on campus. And I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong. I'm just trying to tell you that there's some, there's a lot of, I guess, indecision or a lot of differences of opinion above my head on the administrative level. So that's kind of what we're working with. Like I said, the president is supportive. He's very concerned about student athletes. He's offered to come on Zoom calls. I trust him. He has your best interest at heart. He wants to move forward academically and athletically, and with other student activities in a safe way. But the Board of Trustees isn't ready to take those steps yet. So what we're hoping is these case numbers are improving very rapidly. If you ever look at the metrics of what's important for being in certain tiers, we hope to be out of this bottom purple tier relatively soon. And then we could start talking about what we could do moving forward. So I think that explains it. Another question that has come up with some of the other teams is eligibility. This year is not going to count for you all, no matter what we do, whether we opt back in and play, whether we scrimmage, whether we, aren't able to do anything. The 3C2A has decided that this year will be waived from an eligibility standpoint, and the NCAA and the NAIA have also accepted that. So basically, if you were a freshman last year, athletically, you're still a freshman this year, and you're going to be a freshman again next year from an athletic standpoint. All right. So essentially, if there's a year, which doesn't count, and then you still have your 4 years to compete after this. And aside from that, if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Can we still have scrimmages in the purple tier?
We can. And actually there's something else I do want to address. It's the tier doesn't say specifically that we cannot compete. That's was a decision by our administration. They wanted to at least get to a safer tier before we start to move forward. So if we were in the purple tier, we would be able to if administration let us. And that's why you're going to actually be seeing too. I wanted to be clear about it. The way our conference is, all of the LA schools are going to opt out. And on top of that, Citrus College, College of the Canyons, Glendale, they're all opting out for sure. Cuesta College may or may not. They hadn't made a decision yet. But this is the thing that's most difficult for me to deal with. Every college from north of LA up through San Luis Obispo is going to be opting in. So Ventura is opting in, Moore Park, Oxnard, Hancock. Cuesta, like I said, they're optimistic. So it's difficult for me to see all the other colleges around us opting in and competing and having to tell you all that we can't do it. It's just they have different county guidelines, different types of administration, different boards of directors and presidents and things like that. It's also difficult to know that Westmont's competing in sports in the same county and UCSB as well. So, and then the high schools too. So it's to me, that's the most difficult aspect is, within the next few weeks, we're going to be seeing all these other teams competing and we're sitting here not able. And I just, that's difficult to deal with. And there's going to be some high school teams that are going to be even using our own facilities to compete. And, it doesn't seem fair, but that's the decision that's made. And I just kind of wanted to be transparent with you all.
I would just add one thing, guys, and I've kind of myself, I learned this a long time ago. The more time you spend worrying about things that are not in your control, the worse things get. Right now, the only thing we can control is how we proceed. All right, and that's why I said earlier, from my perspective, we're going to proceed as if we're either opting back in or we're going to be participating in scrimmages or something. Now, if you choose not to have that outlook, I don't know what to tell you. But as positive as we can stay, the better off we'll be. It has, you know, things will be what you make of them, and I'll just leave you with that. So I would just implore you to stay positive, keep working, keep focusing on school, and let those that are tasked with worrying about things that they're supposed to, like the administration, let them worry about that, and you worry about being an athlete, and go from there. Don't try to put too much on yourself, okay? Couple of things adding on to that. With that being said, do not drop PE 188 and 189. Okay, you still need to be enrolled in those classes. They'll start when we come back, I believe, from spring break. Okay, so don't drop any of your athletic classes. Okay, if you do that, you won't be able to participate in anything. Okay, so make sure you don't change anything with your academic schedule. Okay, so I want to make sure you understand that. So we'll continue with, right now we're twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday. So we will continue with that through the next month. We'll wait for more information to come out. Okay. If we will discuss 188, 189 when that time comes, as far as days in times of week, how long we will go, how, if we would continue to go 5 days a week, 4 days, 3 days, whatever the case is. But just take it day by day, put one foot in front of the other. Okay. So right now, tomorrow's Tuesday, we have practice. Worry about that. And then, as I've always done with you guys, when I find information out, you'll find that information out. Okay. Nobody's trying to hide anything from you. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, let me also address this because I know there may be one or two questions. The process, no need to go in the names of anybody, but those of you who have been reporting possible exposures, COVID exposures. Okay, you guys have been doing the right things. Okay, I've gotten all good reports. Okay, the proper procedure, and it's posted in Canvas. Okay, you let me know. You report it in healthy rosters. Okay, on that day, you'll get a red screen. You'll be contacted by the school nurse. Okay, your responsibility at that point, okay, is to respond to all phone calls and emails from the school nurse and any other correspondence from anybody with the school. Follow that. They'll tell you how long you have to quarantine, when you can come back, when you have to test again. They handle all of that. I don't determine, Rocco doesn't determine, no coach determines when you come back. When the school says you can come back, then you contact Joseph. And again, all of these steps are in Canvas, okay? And then you just follow those steps, and then we get you back as soon as we can. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? No? If you do, go back to the announcement last week that I posted in Canvas. You'll see it step by step by step on what to do. Okay? Other than that, Rocco, when's the board meeting?
I think it's this Thursday.
This Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, it is this Thursday. The agenda just came out today.
Okay. So that Valters, once that happens, Coach Yurcho can be back on campus. And then he's followed all the testing stuff, so he will be cleared by then. And then also Coach Freeman should be cleared by then. And Coach Brown, I don't know if it'll be this week or next week. If you want to address that, he should be back soon as well. So, let's focus on the positives and not on the negatives. Okay. And that's what I would leave you with. Coaches, you have anything you want to say?
I'll talk to the distance folks in person tomorrow.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say I'm good. Other than the kids just make sure your academics are in order, right? This is a good time for you to guys dialed in. Maybe get some classes out of the way, but just keep at it because, unfortunately we don't get to compete, but like he said earlier, we do get a couple extra years of eligibility. So this is a really good time to focus and dial down, the technique, the mechanics side of things. Okay.
Go. Mike, do you have anything?
No, just, I think the biggest positive to take away from this is you guys are not losing any eligibility. I mean, when I was in college, I would beg for another year of training and not lose eligibility. So you guys want to take advantage of this. This time in your life is going to go very, very, very quick. And, the opportunity you guys have to get stronger and faster right now and be able to utilize that when it counts during an active season. You don't want to miss that opportunity because, you'll be looking at 40 like I am and wishing you would have done more when you could have.
40, try 50.
Thinking the same thing.
No, so if there's no other questions, just kind of keep that. I'll see you guys.
Some of us wanted to talk with you in private, if possible.
Yeah, I just got your message. You and Drew both. You guys can stay on the call, and I'll chat with you guys.
All right, and then just if anybody has any questions that come up, or if your parents have any questions, anything, they could reach out. They could email me. I'd be happy to answer. I know, like I said, as news gets out and people start talking, usually more questions come up. But I just want to make sure I'm there just to support and give you what you need. So feel free to reach out with any questions you have.
Perfect. All right, guys, stay on if you need to. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rocco.
Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach.